For today's video, I'll speak about the Good Friday games. So the mighty Crom who got up, a great win by the Crom against Gold Coast. We'll speak about that game first. And then we'll speak about the Kangaroos versus the Bulldogs. So that was a complete demolition job by the Dogs. So yeah, we need to speak about Taylor Walker first, absolutely. So yeah, in these videos we'll go over each player that I think is relevant. First player we'll speak about is Taylor Walker. Okay, so to be honest, I'm not surprised he's repeated this effort. And I think on the podcast with me and Enno, we were saying, if you can get him in, we'd get him in. It's moderate risk and very high reward because his break even was so low. You're always going to make money. So if you're on him, enjoy the ride. He plays North next week, and North have Bruce just kicked 10 on them. I know whenever I say this player is going to kill this team, never really happens. So I try not to say that too often, but North have no answer for him. There's nothing they can do. It's like North are a cardboard box and Walker is a truck, and the cardboard box is trying to defend against the truck that's going to run through it. That's a bad analogy, but you get what I mean. They have no answer for him. You know, Ziebell's playing second tall at times, I think, and Mackay is still pretty young. So no Tarrant. Bruce kicked 10 on them. I think North's midfield can be competitive, but I don't see how, Taylor Walker's getting so many looks, and against better teams, he's already averaging, 130. So it doesn't make much sense. He's already kicked, it's round 3, he's kicked more goals this year than last year already, over whatever he played, 15 plus last year. So, yeah, he's had a full preseason, seems injury-free. He's been playing sore, I think, for the past few years, probably. Maybe because he hasn't had as good preseasons, but, the new rules suit him. And another thing that I forgot about is the Crows finally have a proper forward coach. I think whoever our forward coach before this was clearly terrible, because our forward line's been terrible for years, or the structure of it anyway. I think it was Ben Hart, who is a defender. I can't remember exactly, but yeah, he was not a great coach, I'm sorry. Never really had success anywhere he went as an assistant, if I remember correctly. But yeah, with Taylor Walker, is it too late to get him? I think so, unless you think he's going to be a keeper. It's just impossible to tell, but he looks great. High contested rate as well. I think this form is somewhat sustainable. Not 130 every week, but yeah, as a Crows supporter, I'm enjoying it. But as a Supercoach person, I'm like, yeah, it's a bit of a spanner in the works. So that's enough on Taylor Walker. But yeah. Next we have Laird. Nothing to say on Laird. I think we all have Laird, and if you don't have him, you just probably get him in when you can. Sloan, I didn't think, because of age, I tried to avoid him, but has minor durability issues. So I don't think he was an obvious. He's not someone I would have started. If you start him, it's been great so far. But how long does he sustain this? I mean, he's had a great preseason, so we'll see. But yeah, and then the rookies. So Berry, Rowe. So Berry and Rowe, I think Berry's okay if you want to field. If you have other options, more than happy to bench him. And Jimmy Rowe, I think we'll just shove him on the field. I fielded him today. Probably be the last time I field him if possible. And Jordan Butts. So yeah, I'm a big fan of Jordan Butts, and this is an absolute lesson. It's more reassuring for myself as well, because I wasn't sure if I wanted to pay 170k for a player on the bench, but he covered Highmore. I've got 100 points basically out of the blue, so a little bit lucky. But at the same time, if you picked Sharp, now you have a skinny 18-year-old who's not getting a game. But if you paid up for Butts, you have a good key defender who's proven in the preseason game he had scoring power, and he was in his junior profile. I was speaking to AFL Draft expert about this before the season, and he was saying he liked Butts a lot. He could take intercepts. He could mark and kick the ball. He could find the ball a little bit. Even though he's a key defender, it doesn't mean he can't do those things. So with Butts, I got lucky this week that he scored 100, but there's going to be times where he scores 80, 90. There's going to be times where he scores 40. It's just how the nature of it. But on the bench, you just keep him there. He saved our ass because Highmore got dropped, which was... actually, the AFL Draft expert warned me about this as well. With Highmore, he's shorter than Carlisle. So if they want to play a bit taller, they drop Highmore for Carlisle. So, yeah, huge W for getting Jordan Butts. So you don't bring him in now, but yeah, if you got him, great. I still prefer him on the bench, but yeah. And the Gold Coast, the only player I have is Jack Bowes. So his scoring was pretty poor in the first half, but second half he got going. Crows started missing a few shots. The kick-in started to ramp up. So if you've got Bowes, I guess you'd be okay with that. But Yeah, it's hard to tell. It's a bit early, but he looked good in the second half. Took a few good marks as well. I think we can move on to the North versus Bulldogs game. So we'll go with North first, and it's going to be a long road for North. There's just lack of, I don't know if leadership's the right word, but lack of quality experience outside of Goldstein probably. I think Ziebell, I was reading about Ziebell's game, apparently he was conceding a lot of goals, but how do you stop that onslaught? No, they really miss Robbie Tarrant right now, but is Ziebell a keeper? I think so. It looks like it. The role is there. He rebounds a lot. He takes kickouts. We'll see how he goes with McDonald. No plans on trading him anytime soon, so I just hold him for as long as possible, I think, and he should be top 3 or 4 forward right now with that score. What do you go, 150 plus or something? Ridiculous. Yeah, bad miss if you don't have him, and it's problems if you don't. And there's a lot of players in the same boat. I think there's like 9 or 10 players that aren't base rookies that you almost have to have. And yeah, Ziebell is one of those guys. So yeah, enjoy the ride, I guess, for the time being. And we'll go to the rookies. So Power against the Dogs scored okay, I guess. Made a few had a few bad clangers, but when he's on the field, he can find the pill a little bit. It was a very tough game, obviously, and time and ground's pretty low. Doesn't run out the games the best, but I think he's okay to field, but okay to bench as well. Will Phillips. So Will Phillips will probably compete with Dev Robertson in 2 weeks for us as a downgrade option. For 200k, given the fact that he's missed a whole year of development, given the fact that it seems he's behind Lazaro and Power, this seems ambitious to pick Will Phillips, but we know he's capable. It's just the signs aren't good enough for me to pick him. So looked okay. Thought did a few little things around the ground. Didn't see a whole lot of him in the contest. But yeah, probably going to skip Will Phillips unless he does something drastic next week. And then Lazaro didn't do a whole lot. So I've got Lazaro here. To be honest, I didn't really take much notice of him, but yeah. We'll speak about the Dogs players. So just touch on Josh Bruce, scored 170. So he's probably just an inferior option to Taylor Walker, given Walker plays North now, and Bruce is pretty cheap. It's probably going to be like, 350 or something, K? And the North game is gone, so this is not an option. But just quickly, Jack Steele can take credit for this. One of my favourite players, Jack Steele, came out today. Josh Bruce has been training one-on-one with Jack Steele in off-season a fair bit. Not sure why he called Jack Steele instead of one of his own teammates, but Jack Steele's just that good, I guess. So, yeah, you're going to have to deal with a lot of Steele frothing this year, whether he scores well or not. I don't care. He's one of my favourite players. And he will score well. Move on to Josh Dunkley. Josh Dunkley is basically a lock for F1 unless Taylor Walker scores 130 goals or Dusty gets 40 Brownlow votes. Or Bevo does something silly. So, yeah, big tick for Josh Dunkley. If you don't have him, you're in trouble. So, yep. Good luck with that, I guess. Jack McRae kind of junked it up in the fourth quarter, but that's fine. He's Jack McRae. He's going to be a top... Don't see him not being a top 3 mid, but with Treloar getting a bit more CBAs, it might vary who gets all the points. So, see how that goes. Bontempelli was just cruising that game. I thought he was a lot forward as well. So with Bont, if you have him, you hold. If you don't, you just wait for him and probably get him in. I'm still pretty keen to get him in at some point. Caleb Daniel, I really hate watching Daniel play. I thought he was better this week than last week, but I think he does a lot of good things, but he has a fair few clangers, like poor decisions throughout the games, and this has been happening for years. And I think like the media hails him as like the best kick ever, pretty much, or one of the best kicks in the game. Where I sort of disagree with that because for the most part, he's good, but some of his clangers are quite bad. So, yeah, not fit to tie the shoes of Ridley, and I really wish I had Ridley here, but this whole Daniel, I guess, but he's super frustrating, to be honest. Just because he doesn't get those points from defensive efforts, such as intercept marking, or, he's not going to take a contested mark anytime soon, whereas, some of the interceptors will do that. So, some of his defensive efforts were okay today, but for the most part, you're not going to score much from those. So he was okay, but just kind of wish I had Ridley, but that's fine. And then Scott and McNeil. McNeil was good. He had a few looks, but didn't do a whole lot. So in an easy win, like 120-point win, you want a bit more from McNeil. And then honestly, I took no notice of Scott, to be honest. I think he had, I can't even remember, to be honest. He scored 65, so pretty sure he was along that halfback. I don't know, I can't even remember. But yeah, I think Scott and McNeil, if you hold him, I guess, you don't bring him in. Your fingers crossed. Anyway, thanks for watching the video. Let me know if you got Taylor Walker. If you did, you're laughing right now. And whenever you want to offload him, whenever, basically, he plays North next week, he's going to kill them. So, should be good. But anyway, up the Crom, and we'll see you guys soon.